Okay folks, I thought I would take some time today to do kind of a crude video demonstrating my new PRE table. This is a sound vibration therapy table that was basically the idea for it, and the blueprints, if you will, or the basic design was given in the Paul Solomon readings. And this is actually my second incarnation of the table. If you'll look back in the videos, I've got a demonstration of the first one I built. And just hold on, Daddy's busy making a video. Kids. Anyway, so this is the second version that I've made, and I've tried to make some improvements. Some things that bothered me with the last table were that it was too massive. I mean, I used a standard super single waterbed mattress, and that, you know, required a super single waterbed frame, which I built and attempted to screw and glue together using just like 2x6s and 2x12s and plywood, and the pine just turned out not to be good stuff. I mean, if you look at Clark Synthesis, the makers of the transducers I use, they recommend that you use hardwood, not pine, and I don't know, for whatever reason, that's what I knew about, that's what I knew how to use, so that's what I got, and that's what I built, and I ended up with this massive beast of a waterbed frame, this huge waterbed, and just one tactile transducer to move it all. And I really felt like the transducer was doing all kinds of work to move the frame around the bed, these big 2x12s, and if you felt them, you know, you'd feel all this vibration in the frame, and it's all kind of wasted. You know, it's not going directly into the mattress. So my idea for this one was to try to reduce the size of everything as much as possible. So here you can see we've got what looks like, if you can get a good look at it here, what looks like just a mattress, looks like a regular mattress, just on this kind of platform that looks like it's floating on the floor because you can't see where my supports are. But actually, if you look closer, this is indeed a waterbed mattress. And this, Glory, can you try to keep it down? Daddy's recording a video right now, okay? Okay. Well, you try to help Liam and teach him how to do it right, okay? Okay. Anyway, so this mattress is made by New World Manufacturing, and they make standard size mattresses to fit standard size beds and water beds. And their basic design is that you've got a tube of air running around the whole bed. And I would take the sheet off and show you, but it's too much of a pain to get it tucked back in right. But anyway, so it's got like basically this tube of air that forms the frame, and then it's got a waterbed. So there's actually two places to fill right here. One place to fill the air and one place to fill the water. And that then doesn't require the box around it, the sides. So all you need is a platform underneath. And actually this platform is a little bit too big. If you look, it could be a bit smaller. It sticks out the sides somewhat. And I actually, when I was talking with them and getting a custom size mattress built, they told me that initially they could only do a 39-inch width, and I wanted 36. And then after they got into it, they found out they could actually make a 36-inch mattress. So that's what I ended up with. So I guess if I have the time or motivation, I'll build a slightly smaller platform, but it doesn't seem to matter. I mean, it works so well, I'm so tickled with it that I don't even think I'll bother. So the idea is that you have a small platform to vibrate to begin with, and so all the vibrations that go into the platform, which is completely underneath the bed, the idea is it will go into the water mattress, into the water, and to further help that, I don't want vibrations going into the floor, and also I don't want my transducers slamming on the downstroke, if you know what I mean. You've got this weight just using inertia to wiggle back and forth, and that inertia is getting translated into whatever it's tied to. You know, I've got it screwed into the woodwork, into the frame. So I don't want this bed that's moving up and down to be going slam, jump, slam, jump. You know, I was just trying to think about the physics of it, and I wanted freedom of movement in both directions, plus and minus. I figured that would get more efficient energy transfer. I don't know, I'm not the best engineer in the world, or really trained as an engineer, at least not thoroughly or completely, and by any means. And so most of it is just kind of by gut feeling. I'm trying to figure out how this should work. So what I ended up with is this frame that's just basically a box. I don't know how we'll be able to see under here. Yeah, I'm going to get a flashlight so we can see this better. Hold on, back for more in a second. Okay, so underneath the bed here, we've got just a frame. So you can see it's a box, and I've got this outer box of these 1 by 4 pieces of red oak, and then I've got cross pieces, like struts or whatever you call them, every 11.5 inches or something like that. I divided it up so they were all kind of equal, and just under a foot in between each. And then for feet, let's get over here. For feet, I'm using these, which are they're actually a isolation mount for vibrating machinery, like air conditioners and stuff, and they're made by Mason Industries. I got them from a website called Acoustical Solutions. I'll try to give you links for both of those places, but Acoustical Solutions just ended up drop shipping them getting them drop shipped from Mason Industries, so I probably could have ordered them direct from them and maybe even got a better price. And that's what was interesting. It's like Clark Synthesis has 3 levels of isolation mounts, or isolation feet, and theirs are just your typical rubber kind of thing. And even their most expensive ones, which are $60 each, look like just basically a glorified rubber foot with a kind of a metal piece and a bolt that mounts into it. And I don't know, when I was looking at that, you know, 4 of those is $240. And I was like, well, gee, if you're spending that much, you might as well try to get some really decent isolation mounts, like springs, you know. So that's actually what we've got here. And these are only like $85 each or something, so comparatively they weren't that much more. And so you've got a spring, basically the whole frame here. I made kind of a cross piece out of a 2x2, I think that's what that is. Yeah, oak. Red oak piece, and in between two of my studs or struts or whatever, and so this is the entire, you know, 1/4 of the weight, because I've got 4 of these. This is the entire mass just resting on this platform, which is directly hooked to this metal plate, which is resting on this spring, and the rest of this stuff on the sides is just a housing to keep it from moving off center. So it keeps it all centered, so you can use this as kind of a structural support, a leg, you know, in this case. So yeah, I've got 4 of these, and they keep it so that any motion does not get translated into the floor. And then I had to like spray WD-40 all over them because they were kind of squeaky to begin with. After I did that, they're completely silent, and yeah, they just work fantastic. I just couldn't believe it. You know, I'm tickled to death. So yeah, I've got 4 of those, as you can see. One way back there and one here. And this whole platform that I made is just resting on those 4. And then back there you can see one of the transducers. And here's a bolt for the other transducer. It was DOA, so I had to get it, send it back, and I'll begin another one, a replacement soon. So right now I'm working on just 1 transducer. I wanted a lot more because with the latest pulse wind readings I've read, it's become apparent that you need a ton of vibrational energy. You know, you want to get more than you can stand, and then turn the level down just below that, and that's kind of your maximum level you want in your sound therapy. He was saying for its for the uses that require the most energy. So the most I could afford, because I was spending so much on all this other stuff right now, was just 2 transducers, because they're $400 each for the top of the line ones from Clark Synthesis. And yeah, so that's the one I'm using right there, and I was so surprised. It's like when I got everything optimized, you have to get like a low pass filter going, and what else? EQ. I'd EQ the whole bed, because there's like this resonant frequency that the whole frame resonates at, and when it hits that, it's like 10 times more powerful than everything else, and it just distorts like crazy. And so I got the EQ curve to kind of match that and kind of balance it out. I sat there with my bass guitar playing through it and hit all the notes and tried to get them so they're about all the same level in the low end. But anyway, so I have that. You can see this very well, but each one of these, I've got yet another cross piece in between my struts. I wish I could remember the correct word for those. But anyway, right there, and so that's a regular 1x4 cross piece with a 2x2 screwed and glued. Everything is screwed and glued and sanded, and I tried to get everything as close as I could with my meager woodworking skills, so that gives me something really beefy to tie this bolt into. I have a 5/16 inch hole I screwed the bolt into, as recommended by Clark Synthesis, for that 3/8 bolt. It's also got on the other end of it, it's got a wood screw type of thread, so you can screw it right in. And that way I have something really sturdy to kind of translate the vibrational motion into these 2 cross pieces and hopefully the rest of the bed. I wanted to avoid, what I ran into with my first design is it felt like the energy was in one spot. It was like vibrating this 2x6 that ran the whole length of the bed, but it felt like right in the middle where it was connected, that's where all the energy was going straight up, and you could feel it like right above that spot. And I wanted it to get this whole frame vibrating as much as possible. So thankfully, I followed all the advice that they had in Clark Synthesis in designing the platform, and did the best I could at trying to design everything so it distributed the energy more evenly, and it kept the energy, directed all the energy into the mattress, and also I tried to get the mass down as much as possible, so there's less for it to move. And here we go, and I just cannot be more pleased with this thing. And now we have to demonstrate it, of course. And I've been trying various recordings. The other thing I did is I got this set up so that I don't have to custom EQ and low pass filter or whatever and compress. That's the other thing I have, of course, is a compressor limiter. I don't have to do that, like hard code the audio files and then load them into my MP3 player. That's what I was doing before. So I'm using this guitar amp head right now because it's what I had, and I didn't have enough money to buy anything else. Ideally, I think down the road I'm going to get like a loudspeaker management system. Like Behringer makes a pretty cheap one, it's only like $300. And in a single rack space unit, you've got something that'll do it'll distribute different ranges of the frequency to different speakers, and so that way I can have a full range going to these speakers. I can have just the low pass, the low end going to the transducer. And then it'll do for each speaker output. You can do custom EQ curves, and you can do limiting and stuff like that. So, but this does good enough. It has just about enough things that I was able to finagle it and get it to do what I want. So basically, I have my iPod going into this $30 mixer from Behringer, and I've got one output going into this guitar amp, and I've got the amp models and everything bypassed, so it's basically just acting as kind of a mixer and effects unit. So I'm not getting distortion or anything weird from the guitar amp models. And then I've got the other output here, like this tape out, going to these studio monitors. And this was recommended. This setup is as was indicated in the Paul Solomon readings, where where the head is, right on for each ear, you've got a speaker going straight at it, so it's kind of like external headphones or something. And the reason he had it set up like this is because they actually do things with Hemi-Sync and binaural beats, a la the Monroe Institute and all those other people that use binaural beats and stuff for entrainment and trying to help you induce different brainwave states like alpha and theta and all this stuff. So that's kind of, but also then you get to hear the full range of the music. And if you only hear the low-pass filter stuff come through here, it's all kind of muffled, and that kind of bothered me with my previous setup, but I was always too lazy to get all this stuff set up. But I did it all, you know, trying to do this the best possible way. So one of the things I found works the best for playing through the table is Enya. Enya's first album has some good low end. So here we go. And of course you can't feel the vibrations, but I don't know. Maybe if I set the camera on the bed, it'll be some. I'm probably gonna get seasick because of all the waves. Wait till they die down here. Probably won't do anything, but. You probably couldn't even see that micro vibration movement at all, but you were on the bed. Of course I can try that. Turn it down a little bit so you can hear me talk. But anyway, I do have a waterbed heater underneath this mattress. It can take a standard waterbed heater. Just have to be careful it's only under the water part of the mattress, not under the air, because I guess it'll explode or something. The air pockets will. But and I was worried about the vibration affecting the heater. It seems to work okay. I've just got the heating pad on the platform, and the heater control unit is actually off the platform. Just I might mount it on something that's not, you know, like these speakers, they aren't tied to the platform. They're sitting out separately, you can see. And I might have it hooked up to them or something. The idea is I didn't want anything extra hooked up to the platform to mess with the vibrations. And also, I got the feeling that I ruined my last heating element because it was hooked up to the bed and it was getting vibrated all the time, and it never worked right, and I wondered if I didn't like destroy it from the outside. But, anyway, kind of hard to talk over Enya, but I've been really impressed with how much, it seems like how much extra level I can get, probably about twice the vibrational energy sensation from this setup, just using just one transducer, the same transducer, the Platinum TST429 from Clark Synthesis. I can get about twice the energy, it feels like. I don't have the other one to compare to. It's at my mom's and she lives like an hour and a half away, and I haven't been down there yet, so I can't really do an A-B comparison, but from what I remember, it seems like I can get about twice the vibration, even though I'm using the same transducer with approximately the same amp type or power of amp. And so that tells me that my design is definitely an improvement. And so I have high hopes. I mean, this can already get to where it feels like almost too much, and you feel like your whole skull's kind of getting rattled after a couple of hours if you have it on maximum, depending on the program material playing through. So I think I'm getting close to the level I need. And hopefully with two transducers that work properly, I'll find out. you know, or hopefully that'll just get me over the edge and that'll be too much. But if not, you know, I have plans for my next paycheck when that comes in to get at least a couple more of the transducers and get a decent power amp that'll power 4 of them, and maybe the speaker management system and everything, and that should be enough. As much as I'm getting, I'm thinking that should be enough. Now, on a side note, another thing I found out is I was talking about this bed, talking to my neighbor, because I had to borrow a drill bit from him to do those 5/16 holes, and he was saying that there was a company here in Ames that was doing actuators or transducers kind of like that, and I was like, really? And so I looked them up, and actually they're called Etrema Solutions or Etrema Systems or something like that, and they've been around since 1985, and they've got this material, I think it's called Terphenol D or something, and it's a magnetostrictive material, so it'll basically follow the waveform of an input signal, electrical signal, I guess, and translate that into positional shape of the crystal. So you've got like this rod, basically, of this metallic crystal, and they have the strands oriented so it's all the motion is together in one axis, and it'll like when your waveform is at maximum, it'll be a maximum length, and when your waveform is a minimum, it'll be a minimum width, about a 0 point. So I guess it has this average height, and it'll follow your waveform. So when you go positive, it'll go here, and then negative, it'll go below 0. And that's really interesting. I was talking to one of their engineers last week, and he was saying just one actuator would cost about $100, which is actually a quarter of the price of the top of the line Clark synthesis actuator. Now, I'm not sure if theirs have energy, can produce energy levels that are in the ballpark. They don't have the same type of quotes, because the Clark synthesis ones are all in pound feet, and the only thing I could find for the Terphenol D stuff was in kilojoules per cubic meter of substance, and I don't know, but I'm getting the impression that it might work out well. It might even work out better. So I have an appointment with one of their engineers, with the same guy, later today, and I'm going to go talk to him and see about using those. So I might use those instead of buying more of these Clark synthesis platinum transducers. Like, see those boxes over there? The 2 boxes stacked on top of each other. Yeah, might as well, since I'm kind of demoing those too. This is what they are. It's the TST 429 Platinum by Clark Synthesis, and so depending on how these work, the Etrema ones, and if I can get a demo one to work out, or I don't know, we'll just see. I may end up using that, and I'll have more to talk about. But just with the Clark Synthesis ones, I'm really impressed with how well it translates into the bed. I can get a lot of vibrational energy. It seems really uniform, and even with that one transducer, up there, the 2/3 position, it still translates well all throughout the entire bed, which that tells me I built my platform right. My platform doesn't rattle, number one, and it distributes that vibrational energy throughout. So that tells me I glued it well, fastened everything, screwed it down well, clamped it well, and clamped it down well, and in general, basically constructed the platform halfway decent. Like I said, by no means a professional woodworker, so just about anybody, I think, could make a platform like this if you're used to using any kind of tools at all, or even if not, it doesn't. You can learn. You can cut your teeth on this. All I had was like a miter box, a couple drills, and I had 3 clamps, just a set of drill bits and a couple wrenches, for the bolts. I mean, it didn't really take that much, probably less than $200 worth of tools, and because I used red oak, and because I bought squared off wood, and I bought it at Lowe's, it's a little more expensive probably than I had to pay, but I ended up spending almost $200 on the lumber and screws and wood glue, you know, just the materials. But I used, like for my plywood top, it's actually oak plywood. It's a $45 sheet of 3/4 inch plywood. The whole freaking platform then is red oak, even the plywood. I just was hyper, you know, they said use hardwood at least for your cross pieces, and I was just hyper about it, so I made the whole freaking thing out of hardwood, and I think that really helped out well. It really helps out translate the vibrations evenly. But yeah, just about anybody could make these, and if you don't have the kind of skills and can't do it or don't want to do it, I can make them. And I don't know, this cost me, the whole freaking thing has cost me like $2,000 so far. And some of the stuff I wouldn't have to buy over again. I can make these things, and I'm going to probably, if anybody asks, I'm probably going to make them for them. But it's with this kind of design, it's going to cost a couple grand. And if it requires more transducers, it's going to cost even more. The Trima transducers, or actuators as they call them, might end up being cheaper depending on how many I need. So we'll see. And of course, I'll try to work on getting the price down. But some of the major expenses here are $450 for this custom AirFrame mattress from New World Manufacturing in California. Couple $100 for lumber and materials. 85 times 4, so it's like 360 bucks or something for the feet. The isolation mounts that I have the thing standing on. And what else? Well, so that's your the major sources of cost. You're going to need a power amplifier. I just used what I had, but if people didn't have anything, they wanted a complete system, you know, it would require a power amp for about $400, and a signal processing unit for about $300. So that's $700 right there. And probably wouldn't have to have a mixer if you had the signal processing unit set up. Maybe some kind of iPod dock or something if you wanted that, or I don't know, that's kind of icing on the cake at that point. But you do need a couple speakers. These were only, I think, $150 for the pair from Samsung, and they're really good. They're designed as like low-end studio monitors, so for this kind of thing, I think that's what works really good. Just basically, you want speakers that are designed as studio monitors, at least I think you would, because they have a relatively flat frequency response. And they just seem to work really well. I definitely love the way they sound. And what else would you need? Those require power as well, but these are powered monitors, you know, with a built-in power amp, so that didn't, you know, I don't really think they cost that much. But yeah, I think it would cost, I'd have to add it up, and maybe I'll do that at some point. Add it up and kind of get a price for people if they wanted to order one. And if I did start making a bunch of them, I'd get more woodworking supplies and of course start going to real lumber yards. If I had the right tools, I could square up my own wood and save a bunch of money by getting raw lumber and stuff, so the price would come down somewhat. I could probably work with New World and get a better price on these custom mattresses, or better yet, figure out how to deal with vinyl and learn how to make them myself. And I bet you that could be done a lot cheaper, or maybe use a different design. You know, it probably wouldn't take too much more to have a small frame on the side, just made out of like 1x6s or something, and then use a more conventional mattress. It's just the size. It's like the smallest conventional mattress I can get is like a super single, which is like 4 feet wide. It's a foot wider. Which, I don't know, may not be that big of a deal, but that would get the price down too, because you can get those for like $40 or less for just a regular waterbed mattress. Yeah, so yeah, maybe I would have different price points or something, you know, have like a bare bones version and then more deluxe version with more isolation or something, and it would be interesting to build those different models and build them well and then see how they compare. It doesn't really make that much difference to put all this extra money into isolation mounts and things like that. But yeah, anyway, so there you have it. This is my latest incarnation of the PRE table by Paul Solomon. And by the way, it's like in my first videos, people seem to think that it was some kinky sex toy or something, and I never even really thought of that. I mean, I don't know, since we heard that, I had my wife lay down on this one, and she said she thought it felt kind of erotic if she thought that way, but I don't know, it doesn't to me, and I don't know if it would really add anything to your sex life if that's where you're going or what you want to do with it, but maybe it would. That wasn't really the intent from the Paul Solomon. Anyway, okay, I'll have to finish up this video on my iMac because I keep having problems with my handheld camera. Yeah, I'll have to start getting myself to look all nice for these videos. Obviously not a high priority at this point. But anyway, so the idea of the PRE table from Paul Solomon, PRE stands for Profound Relaxation Experience. And it was to get music to play through the waterbed into the body, to vibrate the cells of the body, get the skeletal structure vibrating. He said the skeleton could act as this resonant, was designed to act as this resonant device that would translate musical vibrations throughout the system. And so to work with that and utilize that, he outlined this design for this table, where in his first design, basically he just said to make a waterbed with some loudspeakers pointing into it. So the idea was to get the vibrational energy of the music through the entire body for therapeutic purposes. And he had a number of applications, kind of. One of them was basically the inspiration for the name, was to induce profound relaxation for the purposes of deep trance meditation and so anyway, basically the idea is you play music through the body, and he just said to use loudspeakers, play loudspeakers through a waterbed. And I talked to some people that have one of the original PRE tables that was made in like the late 80s, early 90s, whatever. And because the Paul Solomon Foundation or some group affiliated with them, or a few individuals or whatever, I don't really know, somebody started making them. And at least this one couple I know of bought one. I think other people purchased them too. I don't know how many there ended up being when they stopped making them or what. I can't find anything about anybody that makes them now. And this couple that has one, they don't know anything about anybody that would make them now. They're the people in the Paul Solomon Foundation, by the way. Siobhan Gibbon and Jerry Rice. But so the design outline and the one they have, basically theirs is a couple subwoofer cabinets underneath a waterbed mattress in this big bulky cabinet. And what bothered me about that idea is that loudspeakers are made to move air, you know, so even if you have a subwoofer, and subwoofers do vibrate a lot, and they cause a lot of vibration, which is what you want, still, I think a good 75%, maybe 90% or more of the energy is going to end up going into sound. So I would think you'd have to turn those things up insanely loud to be able to get the kind of vibrational level. You know, and Paul Solomon was saying you have to be able to turn these up. I mean, for one therapy anyway. I think for the profound relaxation to a large extent, but especially for an application where he's talking about where you break up these microcrystalline constriction points all throughout the capillary vascular system and stuff, and as he kept talking about how thought created tension in the body, and things like micromuscular contractions, which would over time end up producing all this excess calcium, which would crystallize, and you get these crystalline deposits like all over your spine, I guess, and just all over your body that would restrict circulation and energy flow in general, and cause a lot of problems that we associate with aging and things. So to break those crystalline deposits up, he recommended using this, and he stated that like just mechanical vibration wouldn't do it because the body would like condition itself and tense up and get numb to it or something, and that's one of the benefits of music, is that you have this continually varying type of signal, type of vibration.
and it continually modulates, and so there's nothing to really adapt to, and you can really tell that on the bed. You never get numb to it, you know, when you're playing music through it. But anyway, so he said in one of the later readings I was reading about it, he said very clearly that you have to be able to, you have like a test signal. You had this test routine that a person was supposed to run through when they lay down on a bed as a patient. And one of the things you did is you had like these test tones that would play, and you're supposed to crank up the volume to the point where the person could not stand it, where it was jarring their bones so much that it was uncomfortable. And not just uncomfortable, they couldn't stand it, you know, to that point. It had to be able to get to that level. And then he said, turn it down just below that, and that'll be the setting for your maximum level of the bed. So any music, you know, that's as loud as it'll get. And I guess, you know, you want your RMS level close to that, your root mean square level, so the average sound power of the music will be close to that level, at least a lot of the time, in order to get that kind of therapeutic effect, at least I would think. So if you're using regular loudspeakers, you know, I would think it would have to be so loud you would just completely annoy your neighbors, and you know, people would be able to hear it for 3 blocks away. And I suspect, now I haven't actually seen one of these beds in person. The people that have it are in Ireland, and I actually did go to the UK shortly after I met them via email, but I did not have a chance to go there and visit them because I was at a conference and everything was on a rigid schedule and everything. But I don't know, in a way I kind of regret it. I probably should have just like skipped a day or two of the conference and headed over to Ireland. So I haven't gotten a chance to actually see one of these. But I suspect, just knowing, you know, I've seen the pictures of how it's constructed and that they sent me, and knowing that it's just a couple of subwoofers, I would have to think that what has ended up happening is that people will turn it up to a substantial volume level, but, you know, to a point where they're concerned about annoying neighbors or it's so loud acoustically it bothers them. And I suspect that that point is far below the level you would need to get this type of vibrational energy that would be required to get a complete bone-jarring effect, you know. So that's why I decided early on to go with tactile transducers for this design for the PRE table. And Paul Solomon, frankly, he said flat out in the readings that his was not the most optimal design. He was just trying to give us a recommendation to get us started. And he definitely encouraged people to work with the bed, not only try different types of music and different types of sound and see what works best for what type of therapy, but he also said that many improvements could be made in the design of the bed, that it was just a starting point, basically. And so the first thing I've concerned myself with then is trying to get as efficient as practical at getting that musical vibration into the body. You know, loudspeakers are no problem. You can, like you see there, I've got a couple powered studio monitors set up, and you can set those however you want. Those can get as loud as you want acoustically, no problem. And so the only other issue we've got is the vibrational energy. And so I've tried to get as efficient as possible at getting that music into a mechanical tactile transducer that it's the same thing as a loudspeaker. You know, for those of you that may be concerned with, oh, suddenly it's not music, it's a vibration. Well, look, a loudspeaker is going to, if it's in a subwoofer cabinet that's built into the PRE table, well, you're going to have mechanical vibrations from the speaker that are going to translate into the cabinet of the subwoofer, translate right into the bed, and those are going to go in bed. That might be halfway efficient. And then, of course, you're also going to have vibrations from the air that hit the waterbed mattress and very inefficiently get translated into vibration in the waterbed, and eventually you may feel some of that. So it's the same thing. That's what I'm trying to get at. In a loudspeaker, you've got a voice coil that's moving in a very magnetic field mechanically back and forth, and it is an analog of the waveform that's input to it. You know, so it's following the waveform, reproducing it in the air. In this case, reproducing it in the vibrations of the wood that it's connected to and to the waterbed. And so what they've done with these mechanical transducers is taken, in a way, you basically take that voice coil, make sure it's a nice heavy weight, which is no problem because the magnet required is a heavy weight. But in a traditional loudspeaker, you have your magnet fixed to the frame, and then you have a coil inside that moves inside the magnet. Well, I think with these transducers, they switch it around so the magnet is what is moving, because then it's a nice big heavy weight. And you can tell the big weight in these transducers, if you get a wrench too close, it goes smack up against this huge metal disc inside, which looks like a big neodymium magnet or something. And so that's apparent, obviously, what they're using for the weight. And so then you just get inertia that translates mechanical vibration into the bolt that the structure of the whole transducer is connected to. And that bolt is securely fastened into your wood frame. And they have 3 or 4 ways you can do that, and they give you the hardware to do it. And the way I'm using is they have a bolt that's actually a bolt on one end and a wood screw. It's threaded as a wood screw on the other with a point. You drill the right size hole for it, and you actually screw that in nice and tight right into the actual frame, right into your actual crosspiece. So that mechanical vibration is the exact same that you get in a loudspeaker. It's the exact same you get in the air. And instead, you're taking all the energy and putting it directly into that mechanical vibration, and you're not wasting any of it going into moving air, which is what loudspeakers are designed to do. You know, so I guess that's my point there. But that's what I'm trying to do, is get this as efficient as possible. And I am really confident that I have improved upon the ability to get more vibration to the body with less unwanted acoustical noise. And with some fine tuning, I think you get that even better. I don't have the best low pass filters set up, so this guitar amp head doesn't really have a crossover built into it. With a decent loudspeaker management processor, or if you wanted individual hardware units, you know, with a crossover and a limiter, you could do about the same thing. But with a decent setup like that, then you could get a decent crossover and really only get the frequencies you want. Because what I found is these transducers will generate the high end, but you get anything from, like, I don't know, 300, 400 hertz up, and you know, it just starts to sound all nasally and you don't feel it that much. It's just it starts becoming all acoustic. You know, all the energy is acoustical, and especially you get the higher end. Yeah, the transducer will do it, but then it's basically just this kind of inefficient speaker underneath the bed, generating energy you don't really feel. So, and then you get a lot more distortion too with the stuff in the high end. So I found that you low pass filter it at about 300 hertz, 200 hertz, something. You could even go up to 400 or 500. I think the Clark synthesis crossover they've got is like 400 or 500 hertz or something. I'd have to go back and look. Traditional subwoofer crossovers are lower. You know, they're like maybe a couple hundred hertz or 100 or 80 or something. But it seems like you get usable vibrational energy up to maybe about 200 hertz or something. And when you do that, and then you have to EQ, you know, what's going to happen is you're going to, at least with this type of design, the bed, the frame is going to resonate at some point. You know, for mine, it's around, I can't remember what it was, like 100 hertz or something like that. But there'll be this point where the bed is just going to be very efficient at resonating, and it's going to take a lot less energy to get the same level. So you need to make kind of an EQ curve to get it so that you have a relatively flat frequency response across that low end range. But you can do it. You know, just the crude tools I've got, I was able to do it here, and with a decent EQ built into a decent loudspeaker management system, or if you want a rack mount parametric EQ or a big, like, you know, 20 band graphic EQ or whatever, you could do it with that too. With that, then you can do this type of thing. It's fairly standard stuff in the audio world to tame your loudspeaker setup and your custom installation like this. And there are even devices that do it automatically and stuff, and I don't know how well that would work with this kind of a setup, but I'm sure it could be designed anyway if you wanted to have something that would just automatically analyze it and set the EQ and everything. So So it works really well. I'm very impressed at how it can translate the energy into the body with just one transducer. I can't wait till I get my other one, get one that actually works, and get two of them going at once and see how well. I'm getting the feeling that might be just about all I need, but I'm going to keep adding transducers or changing types or something until I get the level that I need. I don't care if I have to get 10 or 12 of these Clark synthesis ones and tack them all over the bed. I'll do it, but I don't think it's going to take that many more. So there you have it. That's the latest incarnation of the PRE table from Paul Solomon, and hopefully I'll have a little bit more efficient looking setup later, but this is how I have it set up now, and it works. And it works quite well. I'm using it for several hours a day right now anyway. Don't know if I'll keep doing that, but I don't know. It seems to work really well, seems to be very therapeutic, and I can't wait to try it out in various therapeutic applications and with people with health problems or whatnot, or wound healing or anything, and really see what it can do and try different types of music for different types of applications. And also I've got the two loudspeakers set up on each side so you can do binaural beat type stuff, Hemi-Sync type stuff, because not only is that well known from the Monroe Institute and other areas of using the sound therapy, but also Paul Solomon himself in the readings also recommended that and recommended incorporating that with the bed. So and he had some very specific recommendations for entrainment and how to move the frequencies, and I actually made a sound recording like that, and I haven't even tried it yet. So I've got to dig that out, and but yeah, there's a lot of different therapies that I want to try with it, and I'm really optimistic about it. And if anybody is interested in one, I can do everything I can to show you how to build it the way I did, or give you any pointers or suggestions, or even if you absolutely can't do it yourself, build something yourself, or you can probably more easily, especially if you live anywhere distant from here, you can much more easily probably find somebody who knows just a little bit about woodworking and can make a platform. This is all they need to do, is make a decent platform for you out of hardwood that has a decent amount of stability, and have some points where you can attach isolation mounts, or just put the thing on some feet, whatever you want. I mean, it'll still work quite well, because my first design was just on the regular legs, and it worked okay, so you could even do that, and have a couple points to attach to the transducers. And so I'm confident that I probably won't really need to make these for just about anybody, and if you really want me to, I could. I won't try to be exorbitant about charging twice as much as it costs me or anything. I don't know, I'd have to think about how much it would cost me for labor to make it worth my while to do it, but it wouldn't be that much. I couldn't imagine charging more than $100 of labor for the whole thing, because it wouldn't end up taking me, even if it does take days, it's not like I'm spending hours and hours every day. I'm usually just waiting for glue to dry or waiting for another part to arrive or something. But yeah, that's neither here nor there, unless somebody wants me to actually make one for them. But like I said, there's many people out there that are better at woodworking than me, because I'm by no means anywhere close to any professional. I don't have hardly any equipment, and it doesn't really take that much, woodworking wise. And then other than that, it's just a matter of getting the right components and getting them attached correctly. So there you have it. If you're interested in having me build you one, I can. If you want to get set up building these things for other people, I'll by all means help you in any way I can get set up to do that. I'll try to put the links for all the manufacturers of the various parts I've got on the information for this video, and probably with prices. I'll try to get kind of a breakdown of the total cost of the thing and what everything cost me at this point, so you can look at it where that's at and use the information yourself. I'm all for it. So by all means, I encourage you to try this out, and I'll be willing to work on you know, the best types of music I found to play through it, or you know, how to EQ the thing to optimize it or whatever. And if anybody's interested, yeah, and I'll probably have future videos where I talk about that types of music and anything else I can think of. I'm sure there'll be lots more down the road. So at this point, that's the PRE table by Paul Solomon, my latest incarnation of it. It's my second attempt, and it works great. I'm really optimistic about it. So if you're interested, by all means, build yourself one and start trying it out.